What is going on, everybody? It is episode 253 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are doing a two-person show today. We were hoping that Shane would be able to show up and give us some details about Ye, but unfortunately, I think that you'll have to go to his social media yourselves and demand his next appearance on Pop Culture.
Plus, if he does, everything breaks anyways and nothing works. So
yeah, he'll just curse our technology again, so why even try?
As he's been known to do. So hopefully he doesn't hear this and then somehow create a ghost vortex that comes through and destroys.
Spell on us.
If he casts a spell on us and all our equipment goes down, I want you to go over and follow Shane Cashman on Instagram and yell at him for doing that to us. So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. If you don't know who Brittany Aldean is the wife of country singer Jason Aldean. She's kind of like a...
She's super based.
She's like...
She might be a little bit based.
She's like a... If she was a reporter, she'd be a Fox News correspondent, right? And she's... No? Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong.
She has like Kaylee McEnany vibes.
Yeah, she does. So she is the wife of Jason Aldean, and she's kind of been known to get into it with a lot of the more progressive members of, Hollywood, because she too, exists in that space. So we're going to talk about her and her performative display of throwing away her Balenciaga clothes, which they just happened to get a picture of as they did it.
It was, of course, a completely candid shot.
Look,
that they just got in the moment. It's very organic.
As I was working through this story, I started one place and then I ended another place mentally. So we'll get into that. We're also going to get into a lot of Volkova and all that stuff. We have more, to talk about there. That goes along with the Brittany Aldean stuff. We're also going to talk about James Cameron, the beloved director of Avatar and Terminator 2 and Titanic and all these great franchises. Well, he thinks that masculinity is so toxic that you need to rid your body of it. So we will talk about that. We are also going to discuss Oli London, plastic surgery, detransitioning, and the stigma around detransitioning and plastic surgery. Mary has a lot of thoughts on that I think are
We've talked about Oli London before, but there's a different angle to this.
So we're also going to talk about Rebel Wilson, because she just can't win. She literally can't win. She's created a line of clothes, and now they're calling her fatphobic, because once you are a member of the cult, you're not allowed outside of the cult. In this place, it's the cult of people who want to make being fat like something to brag about.
They're shocked that she doesn't sell 3XL in her new clothing line.
So we're going to do that, and then I've got some thoughts at the end about Aisha Tyler, a character she plays on Criminal Minds, and why I consider network TV to be possibly the worst out of all of Hollywood when it comes to ruining things with wokeness. So, Mary, if you are ready, we will just get right into it. Are you ready?
Of course I'm ready.
Okay. Well, of course. All right. So, first, before we do that, I do want to mention that Tulsa King did actually get renewed for a second season.
No way.
Yes, it got renewed for a second season.
Did it actually do well?
Yes, it drove record signups to Paramount Plus. So take that, Halo. I have watched episode 1 and 2. Mary hates it. I will say, for me, I find Sly Stallone, that's what Michael Francis keeps calling him when he talks about it. He's like, Sly Stallone. I consider Sylvester Stallone charismatic enough in the dialogue, just humorous enough that it kind of makes up for the fact that a lot of the other characters are extremely forgettable. So if you guys want to go check it out, the first 3 episodes are up. I'm going to watch episode 3 after the show today. The first 3 episodes are up, and you can watch it on Paramount Plus. I do find it to be a bit of a breath of fresh air.
Guys, this show was not good. I'm sorry. I found it laughably bad. It drags on like dialogue in a video game. It literally feels like watching a video game that has a lot of dialogue and no gameplay.
Well, then perhaps what they can do is, if people want to check it out, then come back and tell us, do you think that, are you on my side? Are you on her side? We will find out.
Someone tweeted me and they were like, you guys should review Tulsa King. And I was like, well, we already talked about the pilot of it, if you didn't catch that. But like, it was really bad in my opinion.
At least you said in your opinion. Do not speak for me, I say.
I mean, feel free to enjoy it if you want to.
Also, I do. We had some super chats that came through at the end of the show yesterday.
We did. Yes. Okay, this threw me for a loop. So first, we have one from someone named Good App that says, "Hey PCC, thanks for bringing some humor to a banal office job."
We love it.
And it looked suspiciously like Bad App, but with a halo instead of demon horns. So, not sure if that's just his good twin.
His alter ego.
Or his alter ego.
Maybe he's got dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah, that would be a fun
cool.
twist. And then we have one from Indie Uke that said, Dane, do you consider Filipinos Hispanic? Yeah. I had to catch Dane for his answer on this topic, and he just said no, because they don't speak Spanish.
So that was his answer.
So if you don't speak Spanish, apparently Dane says you are not Hispanic.
Okay. All right. Well, now that we've gotten that taken care of, we are
yes.
through. We made up, or we didn't want to leave.
We finished some business.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to get right into it. So Brittany Aldean, again, like I said, she is the wife, the beautiful wife, I do want to say.
She kind of looks like Jamie Lynn Spears.
A little bit. So she was photographed very amazingly outside of what looks to be her house, and it says Brittany Aldean, the wife of country star Jason Aldean, publicly trashed her Balenciaga gear, presumably in response to the ads featuring children holding BDSM-clad teddy bears. My first thought was like, what if she just really hates the logos and just happened to be throwing them out? She's actually not making a statement at all.
I mean, I thought, well, this is obviously what the industry calls a planted. Mm-hmm. That, she staged with her social media manager, clearly.
This is virtue signaling.
Like, it's a little bit embarrassing that you even owned these items in the first place. I will say Balenciaga has a reputation for just sending influencers free garbage in the mail. If you're on a PR list, then you will receive like some low quality slides that just say Balenciaga on them. I think that all of it looks incredibly tacky, and she should have thrown them out before this scandal even happened. But the question here is she doing this for validation or to stand for some principles that she has?
This is where I have a little, I worked, like my brain worked through this. My initial take, because I'm a contrarian, I said, look, you're just virtue signaling. Like everything that we rail against, you're still virtue signaling. You're doing this. It takes the least amount of effort to do this, as opposed to, I don't know, what would you do? Go do charity work at a reputable charity that works against human trafficking. There's a million things that you could do that would actually fight against what Balenciaga did.
Well, she can do that and post about throwing away her Balenciaga items.
And when I realized that they were making whole TikToks, like there was a whole trend on TikTok of people cutting up their Balenciaga stuff. Like, look, maybe we have to accept that as much as we hate virtue signaling about things that we think are stupid, in the case of something like this, maybe, I guess, to spur on public interest and to get people to understand what's going on here. Because remember, we talk a lot about, does anybody even know that Ezra Miller is a creep? Maybe big name people have to do this type of performative virtue signaling to actually get the message out there. In which case, we're just like the people on the other side. We're just doing it for a cause that is, we believe, actually matters.
The confounding part of all of this is that you do have to be a cut above the rest in terms of socioeconomic status in order to even stage a boycott of Balenciaga.
Yeah.
Most people who are mad about what happened never owned or supported this items from this company or supported this company before in their lives. Some of them never even heard about this company's existence before.
Well, for years,
they also own Gucci. Their parent company owns Gucci, Saint Laurent. These are brands that most ordinary people who found this campaign shocking and appalling
can't afford.
They can't afford them.
It would be like, as I said, does Walmart use sweatshops? Because I used to buy a lot of Velcro shoes from Walmart.
Oh, maybe, know that they do.
Maybe I will go to Walmart, buy some $7, well, they used to be $7 Velcro shoes, and then cut them up and throw them away in the name of social justice.
I thought it was such an obfuscation when people responded to this ad campaign saying, well, what about all the other ways that children are victimized, like, working in sweatshops overseas to make these Balenciaga items, or the fact that they're being shipped around the world by the millions, really, on the black market, getting sold. And people who are ultra rich get bored enough to wonder, what can my money buy? And that includes human beings. Yeah. But it's like, we're allowed to be mad about this one thing. It's sort of annoying, like when we say social media maybe is has like deleterious effects on mental health, and then other people are in the peanut gallery saying, but you have an Instagram account, that means you're part of the problem. Like it's like the meme that's like, I want to improve society somewhat, and then another person replies, but you're part of society.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Like, it's not as much of a gotcha moment as you think. We're allowed to call out one thing and not another, call attention to one problem without getting derailed and talking about a bunch of other issues, which also are equally valid.
I've had that happen, like where like I make a lot of posts in which I talk about kind of the conundrum of like, look, we as a society, we're not meant to be as connected as we are. Meaning like you're not designed, me and you are not designed as human beings to know every thought that goes through the heads of our friends and family. We weren't built that way. Even as social creatures, we weren't built that way. And I said social media is a huge part of that problem because you're basically privy to all that information that you don't really want to know, like in the end. And so it's like, yeah, well, you're saying this on social media, so you're totally like it's totally,
you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, you're a hypocrite.
But I mean, in this case, talking about Brittany Aldean's post, we see her husband commenting, "Show him how to walk the walk, babe."
That's what made me want to cover it because I'm like, it just feels so
further
fake.
Verifying my take that no one should call their significant other babe. I find it the hallmark of a toxic relationship. Another influencer named Amanda Ensing, who owns a beauty company, said, "Burning all of mine to the ground." Once again, you're only going to need to burn your Balenciaga items if you are a name on a PR list that got sent this stuff in the mail so that you would post it on social media and people would think that you bought it.
It's a weird world how the people who have the most influence over our social issues are the ones that have literally no connection to the social issues that they're trying to push for. Meaning like they're kind of firewalled off from most of the causes that they're promoting. I think of like what did she say yesterday? Elon Musk could have solved world hunger. I'm like, well, you probably could have taken a dent out of it too. Like, maybe not world hunger.
Maybe you could have sold your Tesla and taken that money and found an individual who needed it and gave like them something they needed. Yeah. But instead of doing that, she just wanted to preach about it on The View to seem like she's superior.
So is it a thing to say that like when we talk about this stuff, it's not enough to just do the right thing? Because this is where I was coming from. Like, look, if it really bothered you and you weren't looking for clout, in children being treated the way they are and being abused the way they are through these Balenciagas, all you need to do, if you didn't work for them, if you were not somehow related to the company and helped promote their products initially, I don't think you owe the world that video of you throwing your stuff away. If you were a representative of the company, if you were especially if you were a part of making these ads, you definitely, at the very least, you owe society an explanation for the sake of not just their explanation, but your own career. You better figure something out quick.
Yeah, one of them, Nicole Kidman, posted after this scandal happened with her appearance in Balenciaga's campaign, the one that included the court documents, doubling down in support of them, which was insane to see, especially from a woman who is a mother herself. Yep. And Kim Kardashian saying she is merely reevaluating her partnership with Balenciaga. I see this comment from Candace Owens on Brittany Aldean's post saying, "Glad to see you aren't, quote, reevaluating your relationship with this trash brand. We will always choose to protect kids." But it's not the same playing field because Brittany Aldean didn't have the same partnership with Balenciaga that Kim had.
I didn't see any type of partnership between them. Like
they just send free stuff to influencers. It's not that deep.
So it says, this is from TMZ. It says, after she announced this, now they're saying sources with direct knowledge of the situation tell us that the design house has presented Kim with an offer to do a 2023 Balenciaga campaign before the controversial child ad went live. We're told that once the ads went public, she made the decision to reject the offer even before releasing the statement. And that to me is crazy because it's like her brain is so like designed around image that she can't just deny it outright because that would make it seem like she was acting rationally. She has to say, I'm reevaluating it because that seems like that's what a business person would say and then reject it later.
Yeah, I find it confusing because wouldn't she care about her public image more than the revenue that comes from a partnership with one designer brand? She could get a partnership with literally any designer fashion house that she pleases.
Like, be such a flex for me to say no to her, just cause.
I mean, yeah, it would.
And then start a marketing campaign as the brand that said no to Kim Kardashian.
This just seems like another example where it's ideology over profit.
Yeah.
Or friends in this industry over profit.
And to me,
because saving your name is better than saving one business partnership.
I guess it's just weird to me because like I can't think of like every time like I've owned an iPhone in the past, like when you found out that people were jumping off the roof of Apple like production houses and they had to put nets down to keep people from committing S words.
Oh my gosh.
Like remember that? Like
no, I don't.
Yeah, like that was a thing. Okay, and like people weren't saying like I am taking my iPhone and throwing it out because is it because as a society we inherently we do value children. We there is that instinct of us to be protective of children, but it's to me it's all very performative when these celebrities do it. It's not the people with something to lose doing this. Now if it was a person, now if some girl who like loved Balenciaga before all this stuff happened, saved up for 2 paychecks to buy some piece of clothing that Balenciaga made that she really wanted, she loved it, she wore it all the time, she finds this out, then she cuts it up, that says more to me than a bunch of rich people who got it for free or are doing it for clout. Maybe I'm just being armchair quarterback here, but I have to ask.
There are mixed motivations for putting out a post like this.
Yeah.
I want to get into the reframing of this whole controversy into demonizing the detractors of Balenciaga as QAnon conspiracy theorists. Yep. I saw this New York Times piece about the scandal called "When High Fashion and QAnon Collide."
Dude, the propaganda is real, dude.
Yeah, it basically reframes this like all of Balenciaga's detractors were Tucker Carlson sycophants and right-wingers and buttoned up, uptight Christians. Like as if we still live in the 1990s.
As if this is the actual satanic panic. This is the real satanic panic, except for it's not to do with rock music and Tipper Gore.
It's like it's making art that pushes people's buttons in the 90s was a lot different than it is today. There's very little that you can post these days that is shocking.
It's like when we talk about whenever people make like pushbacks against like Catholicism or Christianity. It's like, you're not breaking new ground anymore, dude. Marilyn Manson was a thing a long time ago. Mm-hmm. They called rock music before that devil music. Like, that's not a thing anymore.
One point from this article says, the outrage provoked by such moments often seemed to be the whole point. Each only bolstered the reputation of Balenciaga's creative director as a brand that forces consumers to grapple with the very meaning of taste.
It is the most
so pretentious
high art wannabe bull that I've heard in a very long time.
Like, it's actually embarrassing that these people think they're provocateurs and not just losers who were social outcasts in high school. Yeah. Speaking of which, Lada Volkova, she was Balenciaga's top designer from 2014 to 2018. And recently, as people have been digging into this situation, looking at the social media accounts of current and former staff members at Balenciaga, her Instagram has come under scrutiny because she has posted a lot of disgusting things on there. I briefly mentioned it, but we didn't get into the specifics. And
Who did you say she looked like? Who did you say she looks like?
Oh, what did I say?
I don't remember. Sorry for the distraction.
I don't know.
Yeah. You said she looked like somebody.
I don't remember now. I really wish I did.
Our brains.
So she recently responded through a spokesperson saying that she condemns the abuse of children in any form. Lada Volkova has not worked with Balenciaga or its team since 2018, and she has in no way participated in the brand's recent Instagram or advertising campaigns. Sure thing. Okay, you weren't involved with this particular campaign, but that's not to absolve you completely of responsibility for the larger problem people are pointing out of child exploitation or the normalization of sexualizing children in the art world and the fashion world. She definitely has some blame to share based on what she's posted.
Do you think it's weird? Do you think it's weird sometimes how like it gets worse there, but society seems to push back? Like they used to talk about how like there was the countdown on the screen for like when Lindsay Lohan or the Olsen twins were going to turn 18, and that was like considered normal.
And now we have a new class of those celebrity girls like Millie Bobby Brown. Like I find it disturbing.
And then, but that's her pushing to, like, she wants to be seen as an adult, but like we as a society are supposed to push back and be like, look, we did the same thing with when the actress from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was on the red carpet. It's like she's not dressing like she's 15. She's dressing like an adult, and that's by design.
Sure, and there are teams of stylists that strategize that.
It would be different if she was doing it on her own, but it's adults that
this
are
is
that
completely
are prepping this.
out in the open. The grooming is completely out in the open, and it's our job to respond to it. And that's why I think that framing this as some kind of QAnon conspiracy is so disingenuous. And of course the New York Times would do that. So this one tweet
that scares me. That they like, this is the society we live in now, though, that the left-right paradigm is so bolstered in this country that there are people that will end up falling in line
that
with this
you even
and being
have
okay
to politicize
with,
this stuff. It's insane,
and it will work. Like, that's the scary part, is it will work because people are so polarized and so confrontational with one another.
You're just a bunch of Fox News talking heads.
Oh,
you hate art.
Oh, you don't like it when kids hold BDSM teddy bears? Why don't you go watch Tucker Carlson? They'll say that's
exactly.
going to be a thing.
So these tweets responded to that New York Times article saying, finding the Balenciaga ad highly inappropriate has zero to do with QAnon. Normal people think it's abhorrent, but the New York Times wants everything to be politically motivated. And then a UFC fighter named Jake Shields, he's been going off a lot on Twitter about Lada Volkova, actually. He said, not wanting children abused and sexualized does not make me QAnon. And this is very telling that New York Times sided with the pedos over the children.
They always do.
And as much as you can say, like, oh, it's not that black and white, like, I'm tired of you pointing out the gray areas only when it involves the people who victimize children.
It's funny because one of the things that this is a weird aside, I would have liked when I first started watching Tim back in like 2017, 2018, I thought he should have had merch that said nuance in all things, because that was one of the things I noticed, is that you're never allowed to have nuanced takes on stuff going one way, but you're always allowed to going the other way. And it's always done in the vein of an explanation or some type of excuse. It's never actual nuance. It's just an excuse. Mm-hmm. And as somebody who is like as libertarian as they get, you draw the line at people that can't defend themselves. And pipelines of rich, famous, extremely powerful people who use massive, multi-layered networks, whether that be missing link media, print media, if we're talking about the New York Times, journalists that are either ideologically inclined or just greedy, and they use them to their ends, and the end result is kids get hurt.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
So I want to go through some of the Instagram posts Lada has put out there. She's since privated her account, and I don't know if we necessarily should show them on screen right now because they're questionable, even just for YouTube standards. Yep. I'll describe some of the screenshotted posts. Many of them featured children wearing little clothing. One of them was a little boy shirtless wearing high heels. One of them was a little girl wearing a swimsuit, waving at the camera.
Even that is one of those things. I was watching an old episode of NCIS like last week, and they talk about this thing where like one of the characters, like his grandma, talks about how Tim used to wear high heels when he was a little kid. And it's played to be like hilarious. Like he's like he was like such a dork when he was younger. He was like, they were basically saying back then it was more okay to make fun of that stuff.
And it wasn't seen as like a reason to put your kid through the medical industrial complex.
No, but I'm saying that's the slow normalization, right? They're just by bringing it up. I wonder how dangerous it is just to bring it up. Because they weren't, and
that was previously exclusively private.
Yeah.
To a family. Mm-hmm. Yep. Other posts showed a dead woman's body with entrails all over the ground in a field.
You're not edgy. You're not.
It's just like so try hard. Like, I'm not even saying like, I'm so scandalized. I'm saying like, you look dumb. Like, you look embarrassing. You look like a poser. You have no actual taste in art.
One of the hardest
you just want to be shocking like a 14-year-old kid.
It's basically an art version of an edgelord.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And similar to this Balenciaga campaign that she supposedly had nothing to do with, she posted a picture of a teddy bear wearing red ropes around its body in a bondage style. Yeah. Another picture featured a bedroom covered in blood and broken glass and bullets. She posted people in GIMP kind of costumes. She posted a woman spread eagle over a pentagram. She posted a child holding a skull.
Imagine thinking a pentagram was like edgy in 2022.
Like, get over yourself. Another post was what looks like a prepubescent child tied to a chair with tape with a VR headset on, connected to a laptop with her legs spread apart. This is public on Instagram. Yeah. If you wanted to know like the ethical policies of these big tech platforms,
I would love to hear.
There's little else evidence.
I talk a lot about how one of the biggest problems we have is people that are extremely deranged or extremely ideologically inclined or just mentally ill. They have the ability of rationalizing what they're experiencing verbally, which is a problem because when they rationalize it, people who are not acute to what's going on take that rational explanation as a proper explanation. That is not the same thing. And so if she can give you a rational explanation as to why that child is, what is that supposed to be, some statement on the effects of like technology? Is that what it's supposed to be? Is it supposed to be like technology chaining us to stuff?
The thing is, like, I am no longer interested in the interpretations and the critiques and the explanations. I'm just sick of it. When you are posing holding what looks to be prop babies covered in blood, I am not interested in your artistic explanation for doing so. I just don't care.
This is going to be like a weird aside, but like there was a trend for a long time about Hollywood about evil children. Think like Children of the Corn, stuff like that. There's like
The Shining.
Like, yeah, we'll think about like it taps into a primal fear we have a lot of
because it's the most jarring juxtaposition.
Yes, or think even like what's the movie where they have the X's on the back of their necks. It's not Mars Attacks, but
not sure.
The point is like there's these primal fears, right? And these things were probably explored far more effectively back in the day by far more talented artists. But in an age of saturated art markets, social media, where nothing feels unique anyways, it just is a breeding ground for just wannabe edgelord stuff that's just abhorrent. For the sake of being abhorrent.
Yeah, and you might wonder, why is all of this out in the open for anyone to Google search and be shocked by? And this is where Andrew Tate's take comes in. I found it, surprisingly insightful for someone like Andrew Tate, who lives for the soundbite moment. But
he's very good. He's another person who's very good at verbalizing complex ideas in a way that people can digest. I don't agree with all that he says. Mary doesn't like him much at all. I've only listened. I've never sat down and listened to a full interview. I've only listened to the sound bites. I think that he likes to push.
It's just his accent for me that I can't tolerate. But here is his answer to the rhetorical question, why do they do this in the open? He said, I don't think many people understand why a brand like Balenciaga would so openly show the world that they're trying to promote pedophilia. I'll tell them why. Some could argue that they're trying to normalize it. That is what they're trying to do, but it actually goes deeper. Satanists believe in karmic retribution. They believe that they can suffer the consequence of lying and tricking you. So he's contrasting this idea of karmic retribution with the normal idea of justice that most people have. He continued, Satanists believe by telling you what they're doing, they don't have any karmic retribution. I'm not responsible for the consequences. I'm not responsible for the negative fallout of my actions. If they understood what I was doing and allowed me to do it. This is why they show you and tell you what they're doing. If I show you and tell you that they're pedophiles and you continue to buy their products, then you're supporting pedophilia and you're obviously okay with it. If I do it hidden behind your back, then they can argue and say, I didn't know they were pedophiles, but by showing you, I've shown you I'm a pedophile. You still want to wear the t-shirt, so obviously what I'm doing is okay. This karmic retribution model and the way that Satanists view the world, and when I say Satanists, I genuinely mean people who worship Satan. The people who are in charge of these brands, in charge of the Western world, and in charge of the Matrix genuinely worship Satan. When you understand the idea of karmic retribution, you can apply that to so many scenarios. They're doing this with everything. It's not just Balenciaga. So that's one possible explanation for why they seem so shameless and brazen about it.
And it's also like, even if, no matter how true it may be, when you give an explanation like this, the average everyday person checks out. And all they think of is like 8 people standing around a pentagram with a perpetually burning flame in hooded cloaks.
Like eyes wide shut.
Yes.
Stuff.
Not even that. Like they think of like the robes and the cloak, and they think of chanting, like Vedic chants.
They think of CERN, maybe?
Yeah, they're not like the average person. You would need to show them some type of actual, like, I get like, would that be like Bohemian Grove or something like that? You'd have to show them evidence of these people doing it in practice. Otherwise it sounds kooky to a lot of people.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying that it's going to sound that way when you call them Satanists because they don't understand what that means.
Right, yeah. And I don't think that this is necessarily the sole explanation, but I was surprised to see it from Andrew Tate, of all people. Just thought I would share that. Yeah. He had an interesting 2 cents to add to the conversation. But overall, those are your updates. I don't think we're going to get any real explanation about what happened other than, placing all of the blame on the photographer or this lawsuit that they're continuing against the production company they hired. It's all just pointing fingers and lying.
When they know full well that they still had final say-so over every single thing that was published there. And even if the worst outcome is that they were just ignorant and dumb and bad at their jobs, you're still just dumb, ignorant, and bad at your jobs and allowed this message to get out through your brand, and you should be punished.
Right, exactly. Right, let's go to Super Chats. Caper2X said, happy 81st birthday to the Civil Air Patrol. Howdy, Mary, Brett, and PCC peeps.
Hello to everyone in the chat as well. I hope you are all having a fantastic day today.
Caper2X also said, I love Tulsa King, negative Goody Morgan.
See, that's what it is. Guys, you can't have Mary standards, because if you got Mary standards, you're never going to be happy.
Be disappointed.
You're going to always be disappointed. Go check out Tulsa King.
I just hate everything.
She does.
Triton54 said, first time Super Chat, wanted to see your guns. Ye is over on InfoWars committing political suicide.
We thought about talking. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow as more information comes out. Like we're gonna have to dance around a lot of language in that one. Mm-hmm. The whole the picture itself of him with it's ridiculous looking, mm-hmm. and it's one of those things where when we just the fact that we met him not that long ago, and I got to shake his hand, and now it's what the.
Now he's on a world tour.
He's doing all this. It's bonkers, man.
Tacti Plati said Big Avocado is behind Spotify and Balenciaga.
Oh, did you guys
see Spotify?
Did you guys see that Morgan Wallen is in trouble for people liking his music because they're because he said the N-word a couple years ago and got caught on camera. And even though a bunch of rappers have forgiven him and worked with him since then, I think Lil Durk or whoever it was worked with him. They're look, no, he's cool, he's good. He made a mistake. Other people, because they have no lives and they're miserable, are so what you're saying is the third most played artist in the world is loved by everyone that's racist.
I can't help but think that the hate for country artists and country fans is just a form of classism or baseless hatred against the South and people who live there. It's kind of annoying and trite.
I like it when they're people are they make fun of all the songs are the same. I'm all the songs in every genre are the same. Not every genre, but if you listen to a rap song, a lot of the themes are the same. If you listen to a country song, a lot of the themes are the same. That does not
cars,
make it
trucks,
bad.
girls, beer.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong.
And then over on rap songs, it's drugs, violence, women, strippers.
Yes,
blah blah blah.
It's because my mom loved country music. My mom loved country music, and my dad was more of a rock and roll guy. So I a good mix of both of that in the household. So I just laugh because I'm not the biggest country fan these days. Not really. Maybe some older stuff, but
if you think about it, they kind of both genres kind of come from the same geographical area.
It does feel classist in a way.
It is, yeah. Not Alan Rogers said Lotta Volkova. Is she a Bond girl? She certainly sounds like one.
It sounds definitely sounds like a Bond girl name.
Johnny Derp said, show us on the bear where the bears hurt you.
Seriously. Where the
Show
Balenciaga
us, show
hurt
us
you.
on the cocaine bear where the cocaine bear snorted the cocaine.
Guys, go watch the cocaine. Not right now. Wait till the show is over. Go
open it in
watch
a different tab.
The Cocaine Bear trailer. I'm telling you right now, Elizabeth Banks, she is out to make up for that horrible Charlie's Angels movie. She's like, guys, I know Pitch Perfect wasn't great. I know that Charlie's Angels movie was awful. Here's Cocaine Bear. And the trailer's freaking awesome. It's got Margot Martindale as like the world's most out of shape park ranger you've ever seen in your entire life.
It's got Ray Liotta.
It's got Ray
R.I.P.
Liotta before he passed away. The trailer, it's fun. And I made an Instagram post, and I don't always I post a lot about the show, but I'm like, look, less movies about social justice and emotional messages, more movies about coked up bears killing people will be a lot funnier. Please. It's hilarious.
BMF Nate Dogg said she looks like Gwen Stefani on crack.
Crank.
On
Worse
Crank?
than crack. Yeah. I thought she looked like drugged out Drew Barrymore in that a little bit.
You think?
I thought.
She kind of did.
Kinda,
maybe like Julia Garner. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember who I compared her to before we started the show, though.
I'm gonna go back to the screen. We'll take a look really quick and see if I see drugged out Drew Barrymore. That could just
with
be
bleached hair.
That could just be me. I don't know.
Yeah. By the way, she was pictured with people like Kanye, Justin Bieber. Like, she's a very high profile person.
I wonder how much of that is like, if you're a celebrity though, like if you're Justin Bieber, do you know who she is, or do you just interact with that person? Like, imagine you're at like
likely not.
Yeah.
It's just like the circles she runs in.
Yeah.
She's very powerful. High Voltage 75 said, haven't caught a full stream in a while because of work, but I just wanted to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. That's a lot of pressure.
We will rise.
Thanks.
We will rise to the occasion. It's our, I mean, we're counting on us to what? Like entertain you? Because that's what we want to do.
We're trying.
We want to bring joy to people's lives.
Waffles Sensei said, normal people don't know anything about Balenciaga. Normal people hear every day about QAnon and Tucker. The point is to get them to brush it off and not listen to you. Very deliberate.
Yeah, I mean that is like the QAnon thing is it's synonymous with the term conspiracy theorist, which is a brilliantly easy way of basically brushing off anyone's idea as bad.
Yeah, I hate that term in the first place.
It's like I remember somebody said that once when somebody made a joke a long time ago about how somebody who had died from drinking too much water, and somebody goes, "That's a conspiracy theory." He's like, "No, that literally has happened. Like, sounds like a conspiracy theory. Like, just because it sounds ridiculous doesn't mean it's a conspiracy theory."
And there are conspiracies that exist.
Exactly.
And there are theories that are true.
All right, let's hold off and then we will move on. So, all right, guys. So now that we've gotten the rough, really, really difficult to talk about stuff out of the way first.
Yeah.
I hate stuff like that. James Cameron is here to let us all know that he is a beta male, an extreme beta male. So it says, James Cameron calls testosterone poison. He says, get it out of your system. Guys, don't listen to Hollywood weirdos. They're just weird.
So he was asked to contemplate his past in the industry, and he said, a lot of things I did earlier I wouldn't do career-wise, and just risks that you take as a wild testosterone poisoned young man.
I'm sorry, but I don't buy him as high testosterone anytime. Like, I'm gonna need to see video evidence of him doing something masculine. Like, if there's no video of him cutting down a tree, I'm not buying it.
He said, I always think of testosterone as a toxin that you have to slowly work out of your system. This he said to The Hollywood Reporter. It's interesting because I think I have a different take than you, that he's just like beta.
No, I think that this is what he's not talking about is that he is the actual toxic masculinity. The really, really scrawny guys who abuse the power they have, not actually protecting people, like they're not protecting the women and the children. They're abusing the women and children on set. They're talking down to people. They're being rude for the sake of being rude because it gives them a power trip. That's the actual toxic masculinity.
It has the vibes of like roid rage,
Okay.
which like taking steroids is known to actually lower your testosterone levels. I know James Cameron was talking metaphorically.
Yeah.
But it lowers your testosterone levels and essentially makes you more emotional, like a dysregulated woman would be, but with the insane strength that steroids allow you to have.
Yeah.
So you're just like dangerous. You're basically Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. Well,
so it's
there's
like
nothing wrong with being Cocaine Bear. You leave Cocaine Bear alone.
Being aggressive is not masculine. And I hate that toxic masculinity is referring to something that couldn't be further from authentic masculinity.
I mean, aggressive, not in all contexts. I mean, I disagree that there are times in life when being aggressive actually matters.
Well, sure, if it's warranted, but I'm talking about what you said, like just needlessly throwing your power around.
Well, I'm thinking of
in an insecure way.
I'm thinking of Joss Whedon or David O. Russell.
Yes.
Like the ones who just abuse people on the set, all for the sake of their art piece. What is less masculine than that? Literally nothing.
It's pathetic.
But they are the ones who actually promulgate the concept of toxic masculinity.
Because they're compensating for their insecurity that, again, comes from being like uncool theater kids in high school.
The Daily Wire should do like a series of like where they do like, have you ever seen like the Babylon Bee stuff where they do like Californians move to Texas? Like they need to do a series with Gina Carano of like beta directors trying to push her around and she just beats them up. Like,
well, that's the point we're getting to, right? I mean, she is like she is a fighter.
She's the actual strong, independent woman. Like, that's why we love her. By the way, I was watching Fast and Furious 6 the other day when I was brushing up to get ready for when Hannah Claire eventually watches 4, 5, and 6. And yes, Gina Carano's fantastic in that.
I wanted to point out how ironic this comment is coming from James Cameron, just because he seems to still be taking these arrogant risks and getting in people's faces, being aggressive, using aggressive language at people. We just talked about him cursing out a Fox executive to get the F out of my office just because he said that he wanted to reduce the runtime of Avatar.
A $2 billion risk on a movie. I feel like that's studio enabled toxic masculinity. Remember, they a lot of times claim that one of the most important traits of masculinity is like they're more prone to risk taking. Like when they talk about the gender wage gap, they talk about it in the context of like the reason that men get higher wages a lot of the time is because they're willing to just aggressively ask for more money and walk away, even if it's not the optimal decision to do because it's in their nature to push. Like he's literally like he's still doing it. It's going to cost everyone else money. It's not going to cost him any money.
To be seen how that goes for him. But I mean, the marketing around Avatar 2 right now is strangely condescending in a way that I really kind of don't like.
Where are you seeing any? Like, I see it on ads. I see some ads on websites.
It's the headlines that are trying to create some kind of cult of personality around James Cameron. Like this one says, James Cameron doesn't care what you think of Avatar 2. He knows you'll watch it. Here's another one. James Cameron believes he's the only person on Earth capable of directing an Avatar movie.
Okay, this feels like you know what this feels like? It feels like the type of like stuff that they were running when Joe Biden was like, they're like, put him in the aviators. He's cool if he's wearing aviators.
Yeah, just like extremely tone deaf.
He won't look 89 gazillion years old if he's got aviators on. Like, that's what this feels like to me. Like, he's not like an old, out of touch dude who hasn't really made a movie that people liked in a long time. He's cool. Like, he doesn't care if he's like, I'm going to make this movie that no one will watch. I don't care how much it costs Disney. Like James Cameron, you still have white hair and refuse to retire because you're addicted to working, okay? And then now he has this comment toward anyone saying that Avatar didn't have the cultural impact he wanted it to have. He said, there's skepticism in the marketplace around, did it ever make any real cultural impact? Can anybody even remember the characters' names? When you have extraordinary success, you can come back within the next 3 years. That's just how the industry works. You come back to the well and you build that cultural impact over time. Marvel had maybe 26 movies to build out a universe with the characters cross-pollinating, so it's an irrelevant argument. We'll see what happens after this film. He is like kind of obsessed with competing with Marvel. Yeah. That honestly, that response doesn't bother me too much. Like, if I'm him, that's the only response you can actually give in that situation. Like, what's he actually supposed to say?
I think that he's a little bit, he feels a little threatened by the contender that is the MCU right now. He feels like because he is the sole creative genius behind Avatar, and that he has this, as he called it, a private streaming service inside his mind when he dreams at night, that he is like the sole person standing up against the Marvel machine. And I mean, it would be better not to comment on it at all and let your sequel stand for itself on its own merits.
I also want to, I want to go back to a little bit of what this says here. It says he claims that this newer, calmer version of himself is a result of purging testosterone from his system, though he likely doesn't mean the literal hormone so much as the cultural standard of masculinity, which breeds these toxic interactions. It reminds me of, I've mentioned this before, that there was an article, I believe, when The Eternals was coming out. All of the actors were doing their press tours, lauding the movie. Oh my God, it's going to be a masterpiece. And Kumail Nanjiani did one because he got in really good shape for the movie. And he was always kind of a scrawny dude, Silicon Valley. Really great on the X-Files podcast, the X-Files files. This was his best work. But he got in like really good shape for the movie. And he had like a thing in Men's Health, I think it was, where he doesn't talk about toxic masculinity. He lowers it. He's like, we need to change traditional masculinity. So it's not so much even toxic masculinity anymore. Any type of masculinity is bad because we're in a culture now that wants women, they want men to not act like men. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to purge that instinct, like he says here. Yet somehow we hold up women in movies as the male superhero cultural ideal, meaning they save the day, they take action, they're the ones that are decisive and push forth all of the decisions. Just watch the Peach in the recent Mario Brothers trailer. That might be a bit of a stretch.
I mean, but it might be a stretch, but we might watch the Mario movie and figure out that they did write it as a girl boss script.
I feel that Hollywood, one of the reasons they're so confused, they're so hell-bent on subverting whatever the traditional norm is that they don't actually ever have any solid footing underneath them. So they're just kind of lost all the time. When all you have in your life is to just do whatever everyone else isn't doing, or at least what you think society isn't doing, you're going to be kind of like, I just feel like that's an empty way to live. Mm-hmm. Like, I wouldn't want that. Like a lot of times when these movies do succeed, when people watched Reacher, and people reached out to me, like, after watching it, men and women, who are like, it was good to see a alpha male, a tall, handsome, muscular dude act like a dude, make decisions, be smart, get the girl, do this and that. Yeah. That hits at the primal core of both men because they want to be like the guy, and women because they want to be with the guy. They want to be saved by the guy.
Type of viewing that archetype shouldn't be shocking or
no, but it is now.
Yeah, or as rare as it is, because like Hollywood's expectation for men these days is that you look like the Ken doll and you act like Barbie.
Yeah.
Basically. Like
Ryan Gosling in the Barbie movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also curious about that movie and the commentary they might slip in there.
Greta Gerwig was saying recently, she's like, she thought that it was so a puff piece. She's like, I thought that doing the Barbie movie would end my career. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure.
I hate comments like that.
It's like the ones that are just designed like it's like literally it's like say fluff peace statement, please. Like, so I also want to point out, guys, that if you want to talk about misleading and propagandistic marketing, this is the key. Avatar 2 opening weekend box office projected to nearly double the original. The problem here is he's already said that this movie needs to make $2 billion to break even. But what did the original Avatar open to? Well, $77 million, which means it's going to open to about 140.
Well, I'm pretty sure this was difficult to decipher. Did he mean $2 billion for all of the next Avatar movies combined?
We never got an answer to that, but everyone that covered it like us took him at his word. That what he said was that this movie needs to make $2 billion.
Yeah.
Maybe he means that the next two need to make $2 billion, but that's not what he said. So I take him for what he says. So
yeah. Like, isn't the hope generally the hope these days, if your movie is a hit, you reach $1 billion? Like, that's your certified reassurance that this was a project worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, depending on the budget for it. Like, if it's a budget like this, then certainly.
Yeah.
And this is the type of thing, like, right, the first movie didn't make the money that it made right off the bat. It made it because people kept going back to watch it again because they were thrilled by 3D, and it was a novelty at the time. Mm-hmm. There is no such draw for that anymore. And I don't know if he's got, I don't know if maybe all of the testosterone has had him write checks that his mouth can't cash. per se. But I feel like they're headed for a little bit of a slump here. Then it will be interesting to see, how does the toxically masculine James Cameron respond to the movie not doing well? Does he tuck his tail between his legs and slink away? Or does he say, look, I made a bet on this. The bet didn't work out, and I take responsibility for that not working out. He's happy to take all the credit if it does, but none of these people ever take credit when it doesn't. Have you ever noticed that? They never are like, look, we miscalculated.
Well, yeah, it's going to be interesting because he doesn't have an obvious fallback, like, oh, the audience is racist against blue people.
Bluest. The bluest. They're definitely, they're bluest.
There's no obvious excuse to blame the audience.
He's like, the Blues Clues movie.
He might just be like, okay, I retire. Bye. Yeah. Bye forever.
I would have infinitely more respect for these production companies. It goes to the core of our being too, right? We like it when people can humble themselves. Like, if a studio comes through and with brash, we're going to make this great movie, it's going to be awesome. I respect the hustle of you promoting it the way you do and putting all this effort into it and trying to build it up to be something that maybe it doesn't actually reach the heights of. But I have even more respect for you if you're like, look, we thought this was going to do well. Clearly, somewhere along the lines, we made a misstep. It didn't connect with the audience in the way that we thought it would. We will go back to the drawing board and try to do better next time. That's literally all you have to say. And you can say that every single time a movie doesn't do well. You don't owe anyone an explanation more than, look, we miscalculated, we'll try to do better. You might lose some trust over time, but you're not going to lose nearly as much trust as you do when you don't take responsibility and you blame other people for it. Mm-hmm. That's like, people seem to be all too willing to forgive and forget anyways. Like, whether we like it or not, we're still technically part of the problem. We still go see Disney movies. We still go see all of these movies and then talk about them here.
I don't think we are part of the problem if we're trying to analyze them and...
Maybe I'm part of the problem because I tell everyone everything's just kind of okay. Mary's the solution because she's like, don't go see this, it's garbage. And so she saves the people.
We say it a lot, but sometimes we review things so that the audience doesn't have to watch them.
She puts our feelings forward so that and then if other people can interpret it that way. Yeah. Maybe that's true. Maybe you're part of the solution. I'm part of the problem because I'm always like, yeah, it was fine. So we will see James Cameron, but I disagree with him that you're just dorky and kind of a weirdo beta Hollywood male, and you don't actually probably hasn't actually experienced or been around any type of positive traditional masculinity in like 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I always say. It's like all of these celebrity females in Hollywood hate men because the men in Hollywood are abhorrent.
When
that's their only experience of men are like the worst possible men you could interact with.
When Harvey Weinstein and Danny Masterson are your examples of masculinity, you're not going to have good examples.
Like, damn, I'd be a misandrist too.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's go to Super Chats. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett and Mary make my day, even on the tough ones.
Oh,
that's
buddy.
Sweet.
Are you having a tough one today? If so, I hope it gets better.
Bad App said, get Michael Malice on. He's my favorite Tim guest. Anarchy. Also, do you think Ye planned the walkout? It's impossible to know.
Look, it's impossible to know. People were wondering what they meant by I don't know how deep Tim went into this about the private plane thing. You don't just have a private plane sitting around and waiting. Like, if it wasn't the one that they had initially had scheduled for them to take the next day. If they were able to get a plane on that short a notice, that is a little bit suspect, but I don't know. I don't know. I know that it seemed weird and the whole vibe was off, but there's a million things that could lead to something like that, and people are generally unknowable. So outside of somebody admitting that they did, I don't feel like it's worth it for me and you for us to speculate.
Honestly, the day after, it felt like everyone just kind of forgot about it ever happening.
Yeah.
It's because it's irrelevant now. Like, it happened.
People watched when we talked about it on here, but then when I posted the segment of it, nobody watched.
Yeah.
It was like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to meet him and shake his hand. I would have liked to have thanked him for a lot of his music. He's made a lot of music that matters a lot to me. So I can love his work without liking what he's talking about right now, or liking a lot of the things that he's saying, or even just the way he's going about it. You know what I mean?
Waffles Sensei said, dang it, Mary, that's my favorite point to make. Country music and rap are the same. Women, possessions, and drugs. Well, I haven't seen country music talk about drugs.
He means alcohol.
Oh, so like beer is a drug?
Like, well, it is. It's
I mean, I guess if we're getting technical about it.
It is just legal. And to be, look, I speak from experience. Go to rehab for the people going through alcohol withdrawal. Way worse than most of them.
Fair enough.
Outside of benzos, alcohol withdrawal. From what I understand, that's not what I was in there for. But alcohol withdrawal is supposed to be amongst the worst, and to me, the hardest to really kick, because it's one thing to like. If you can get off drugs and just get away from the bad influences in your life, whether it's the people you used to do them with or the people you bought them from, if you can really turn your life around and do that, you can cut off access to it as you work on your discipline. If you get sober from alcohol, there's still a liquor store on every counter, on every corner. Mm-hmm. And that can't be easy for the people that are really drawn to that.
Sure. So. Brewmaster Monk said, "Where is the proof of this belief in karmic retribution among cultists? It's really about creating righteous anger and justified violence in normies."
Is that like, I mean, one thing is that Andrew Tate, he's so well spoken that he can say a lot of things, and you just kind of like, he's like any fast talker. You just, if you say it with enough confidence, you just accept it as true. Like, I don't know.
Why would they want us to get angry if they wanted us to be complicit? That's my dissonance there. Wayward Soul said, re-enters cockpit. "I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you." This is a lot of pressure, and I don't know if I can do it.
Now we need to play Danger Zone and watch Top Gun. Can we? That's coming back out in theaters.
What would they called? Like their nicknames be? Like,
if we had, what
were they called?
In the movie?
Yeah,
well, he's
like
Maverick.
Well, whatever your nickname is, like there's a name for that.
I don't know. You'd be Ghost Girl. You'd be Ghost Girl.
Probably.
I don't know.
Or just ghosts.
Can I be Normie? I'm gonna be Normie. I want to be Normie. I'm the Normie. I'm the people. When Cass Castle first started going, like, was first on, people would call me like H&M because of my clothes.
Really?
Like because of like the
No, you would be Spicy Latinx. Where did those comments ever go, by the way?
I thought I was the Spicy Latinx.
We used to get so many comments calling Brett the Spicy Latinx.
But everyone would make fun of me for my, the long I have the long shirts, the long line cut, the hem cut t-shirt that people make fun of, and I'm like,
is that specific to H&M?
No, it's not. But that's, I'm sure it seems like it's something that they would get. I don't get them from H&M, but yeah.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, "To the dynamic duo, Brett, the Memory King, marry the stylish executioner."
Okay, I can be Memory King. You can be stylish executioner.
Yeah, that's what he said.
There we go.
Easy.
Why am I the Memory King?
Well, because you have a trivial knowledge of literally everything in movies.
It's the worst part
and
too,
TV shows.
Because a lot of times it's like there's days where it feels like like I can't remember anything. Like there's a name like on the tip of my tongue, and
it's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. Yeah.
Not Alan Rogers said Terminator 2 and Aliens peak masculinity.
See, yeah, especially Terminator. Like,
maybe his best content was during that phase of his life.
Maybe if you had more Arnold, more Robert Patrick, and less Avatar blue people, you'd be better off. Mm-hmm. Even Terminator 3 had what's her name? The girl, they had the female Terminator. I mean, nobody likes that movie, but
I don't remember that.
The actress's name is Christina Loken or Christina Loken.
BMF Nate Dogg said Chet and James Cameron should debate this topic.
Oh
yes,
my God.
Chet, because Chet is the ultimate example of the alpha male.
I love me some Chet. We should bring back Chet formations once in a while. Maybe we bring back Chet formations on Fridays. Chet formation Friday.
We'll think about it.
We'll think about it.
People were giving us some crap about that.
But he's out driving his Lamborghini. He's just living his life. He's living his life. Good dude.
Wyatt Kaldenberg said, "Mary, you're right about classism in art criticism. Western writer Louis L'Amour is still one of the best-selling authors in the world. Elitists belittle his work because common people read him."
And they do the same thing with, look, Hollywood is built to make fun of flyover states. All you have to look is any TV show that talks about any police procedural or show that travels to like small states. The ridiculous way they portray them is always like the accents are always way over the top. Now I understand you sometimes have to over exaggerate for effect, but they're always backwards. They're still racist and sexist. And oh my God, I remember there was an episode of Blue Bloods where they talk about how like people in New Jersey and they're like, look at, they've never seen a black person before. I'm like, or like Iowa or something like that. I'm like, it's 2012, not 1950. What are you talking about? Like, I hate that stuff because it's there when they don't do it with any nuance. I can feel the elitist Hollywood ivory tower writer writing this like, like they probably came from it. They probably raised there, hated it, got out of there, and now trash it because they didn't like it. Everyone there's bad.
Or it's the same type of writers that praise a play like Downstate.
Yes.
For
by the way,
sympathizing with predators.
The only video we've had recently think of all the Balenciagas. That's the only thing we've done recently that got not demonetized, but limited ad suitability.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's do one more and then we'll move on.
Carnell said, Brett, please tell us, after reading this article on James Cameron, you're now going to watch 1994's action, testosterone, toxic masculinity, manly classic of a movie, True Lies.
Oh, yeah. And Air Force One. In fact, and Con Air. And we'll probably watch all of them this weekend. I go through phases like that where I watch I watched the Transporter series all in one weekend again recently because it's just like, it's hilarious how like unabashedly hyper masculine it is in a lot of ways because it's like, it's Jason Statham. He blows stuff up. He walks away as he's blowing stuff up. There's a woman. Why is she wearing lingerie while shooting guns in a doctor's office? I have no idea. It's awesome though. The 90s and the 2000s were great. Stuff
Perfectly
was awesome
superficial.
Perfect. Well, I love it. I love it. All right, guys, we're going to move on. So now that we're done with James Cameron, Oli London. We have talked about Oli London before. Well, the initial statement was before, what was it? When we talked about it before?
We talked about Oli London, I believe, in the context of his transition from being transracial Korean back to a British man. But firstly, like, this fits into a larger conversation about celebrity plastic surgery culture.
Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I stumbled upon this Forbes article that says, ending the stigma, celebrities are becoming more outspoken about plastic surgery. And it says that there are so many examples of celebrities regretting their procedures. So firstly, Bella Hadid admitted to having a rhinoplasty when she was 14 years old.
First of all, that's insane. But second of all, is it that they regret having the procedures or that they regret not being honest about it? That was what I got from one of them.
Some of them regret their procedures. Bella Hadid said that she regrets her rhinoplasty. It's insane to me that it's even legal to do a procedure like that on someone so young. 14 years old is way too young to consent to a change like that.
They did an episode of the show Everwood that I keep talking about. Like, I love my teen dramas too. They did an episode where the main character of the show is that he's a doctor. He's got a patient in there she gets breast implants at 17 because her mom like lets her do it, and that was a big, like, in 2004.
Crazy.
And it's really funny to watch all of the main doctor, the main host of that show is like a kind of he's a New York liberal, and the small town doctor that was there before him, they have a really fun dynamic where like the one is very cantankerous and rude, but they're buds. They're still buds. He's more conservative, and they go back and forth, and they kind of accept that their issues are different. They have a really funny back and forth about the legalization of marijuana, where the conservative doctors, we've got pills for that. And like now thinking about where we're at 20 years from now, like the opiate epidemic being what it is, like he was totally wrong. But they're on
ironic.
They go back and forth on this about like, is it right for a 17-year-old to get plastic surgery? They were talking about it more about what it does for they weren't talking about necessarily the physical repercussions. They were talking about psychologically, what does it do to someone at 17 to start telling them when they're 17, you should change how you look because you haven't even been giving yourself enough time to mature into who you're supposed to be as an adult to grow comfortable with yourself.
And it's absolutely wild that the conversation in the 2000s about a 17-year-old getting breast implants is the precursor to the current conversation about whether someone even younger than 17 should be able to consent to a double mastectomy. Like, it's insane that those two things have been represented in media, and we've shifted so quickly. But these other examples, for instance, Kylie Jenner, at first she denied that she got lip fillers,
That's
which
what it was. It
is
was,
an insane lie because it's so obvious.
I never got lip fillers.
Yeah, she said she regrets not being upfront about it in the first place, and then eventually she got them dissolved.
You can do that?
Yeah, you can. It doesn't totally go back to normal because you did stretch out the skin.
Yeah.
But you can dissolve filler.
Does that make it worse then? Because then it's like stretched out but not full?
Yeah, it's deforming. And then there's this other model named Linda Evangelista who I believe we might have talked about before. She has come out talking about how she has been botched by a cool sculpting procedure that she says left her brutally deformed. She's been vocal about the permanent consequences of plastic surgeries that are sold to people as products. And when I see a doctor like the one quoted here who is experienced in doing the so-called facial feminization surgeries.
Is that like what happened for Oli London?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't trust when they say they consult their patients and figure out whether those patients are in a right state of mind to get those surgeries. Your ultimate interest is lining your pockets.
Yeah.
So he said constantly being in front of a camera and having to perform for a huge audience can be extremely demanding.
Are we talking about Oli London now? We're not talking about Oli London yet, right?
No,
Okay.
I was just
We're
going
still
into the
okay.
context.
All right.
He said, more importantly, in this line of work, confidence levels are key to performance. These procedures are more often than not an attempt by these stars to boost their confidence levels, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with someone getting what they need to make their jobs easier. So it just seems extremely manipulative, especially coming from somebody who performs procedures on people with gender dysphoria.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line. Look, I don't have a problem with adults doing this to themselves if they want to. I would hope that outside of like if something happens, like if something happened to change what you look like before, that makes sense to me a lot of times. And I don't have a problem. Like if you have low self-esteem and you want to do this, it's not my place to tell you. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to do it, but I can't tell you not to. But also,
your point of view on this is exactly like the imbalance I'm pointing out is that the stigma around getting cosmetic plastic surgery procedures, invasive or non-invasive, is continually declining.
Yeah.
While the stigma around reversing those procedures, especially in the context of gender transition and detransitioning, is going up. So like Oli London, for instance, he's a social media influencer who previously identified as a woman but is a biological male. He has announced that he is detransitioning. He is not going through with certain procedures that he thought that he wanted before because he realized that he actually needed to confront some identity issues within himself.
Yeah.
He's been going on a bit of a media press tour that we've talked about before, kind of going it for the anti-woke angle, which I find kind of inauthentic.
Oh, I
don't trust everything he says. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, this is a story that a lot of people need to tell, and he's only one of them.
Anti-wokeness to me most of the time comes off extremely vapid and surface level now.
It's just like someone like Oli London is getting all of the attention in this subject because he has made so much content about just a self-destructive level of obsession with K-pop stars.
But this comes
He's
later in this.
obsessed with like looking like Jimin from BTS or Rosé from Blackpink specifically. But
this is later on. Like he's made these ideological changes.
yeah,
down the
those
line.
ideological changes happened after he announced the detransition.
It's not like a Blair White who goes through what she went through while maintaining pretty consistent political and social beliefs through the line, right? Like throughout. Like Blair White
this is like a very stark
contrast,
like very swift change in opinions for Oli London.
Which is why I find Blair White to be so engaging, right? That she's been able to, like, it can't be easy to live that life, to be that person in the circle that you're in, because whether people want to admit it or not, both sides are vicious against people that don't conform to what they want. Like, I do believe that. Like, as much as I believe that there's more logic and there's a lot more acceptance culturally on what we would consider now the right, it's not like you're not going to still get attacked in certain circles, because especially whether it's for religious purposes, there are, I still get messages sometimes where like people, like, I made like a joke about something to do with, like, somebody took a clip I made about like Tipper Gore and the Satanic Panic out of context, and they're like, oh, it's still a problem, and then they like proselytize to me for like a page, and I'm like, dude,
you care.
You don't need to do that right now. But I'm saying, like, it can't be easy to do that. This feels like for Blair White, it was actually part of who she is. So she's being philosophically and ideologically consistent. I have questions about somebody like Oli London making that change so quickly and so publicly,
and not just the change in identity, in how he identifies, but also politically.
No, that's what I'm more interested in that.
Yeah.
Like,
so here is Oli London's comment about the reaction to this detransitioning that he's going through. I've been bombarded with abuse for the last few weeks since sharing my transition story, originally on Fox News and Entertainment News. The abuse I received has been awful. I describe certain elements of the trans lobby as a cult. He said they celebrate you becoming trans and try to push you and persuade you to transition and give you positive reinforcement that you're a great person. However, when you decide to leave the cult, they vilify you, cast you aside, hurl abuse and death threats in an effort to silence you.
That is absolutely straight out of the cult playbook.
Yeah, and that's absolutely, I totally believe that they're doing that. And it's insane that this is the reaction when someone wants to reverse a gender transition, but when Kylie Jenner reverses her, lip filler injections, everyone's like, "You go, queen."
Well, one is related to radical gender theory, and one is not.
Yeah,
and that one is, here's what it is. Like, to me, is it a cult? I think it's absolutely become a severe, virulent social contagion. And I believe that there are plenty of people that are legitimately I think you'd disagree with me. I believe there are people that consider themselves trans and are not bad actors, that feel that they were born in the wrong body. Whether we want to talk about what that means, who they are, is it a case of a mental illness? Is it a case of it's just what it is? I don't know enough about it, but I do believe there are some good actors. But I believe the majority of the social contagion at the top of that pyramid are the cultist, ideologically enforced extremists who want to use like harsh language, threats, and they woo you in with, "Oh my God, come to our group, join us. You're just like us. We love it here. Like, we are so proud of you. You're coming into your truth." Remember, they love that term, your truth. Mm-hmm. And then when you back out or you don't agree with them, and I believe that all political classes and ideological groups do this without exception. When you go out of it, the worst of the worst will call you awful. I'm not saying that it's any worse or better on any side, but there's always going to be those members of every group that are not going to take it well because they feel so strongly about their cause that any pushback is bad press for them.
Right. And in Oli London's case specifically, I noticed that he's a bit of an expert troll and attention seeker on the internet, which is unfortunate considering that he's starting a conversation that a lot more reasonable people have started and not gotten the same response. I mean, he teased a presidential bid on Twitter saying, "As a politician, I'll stand up for women and children and protect freedom of speech. The world has so much division and we need unity. Children need to be protected from harmful ideologies and women need to be respected and not silenced. I will fight against woke culture."
It just feels like that was like he literally like wrote down all the talking points and he's like, "I will fight again." Like, did he mention Drag Queen Story Hour? He should have mentioned Drag Queen Story Hour.
I'm sure he has somewhere on this press tour.
But here's the thing. Maybe Oli London isn't the hero we deserve, but he's the hero. like if somebody can stop the Drag Queen Story Hours and stop abusing our kids, if it has to be Oli London, maybe that's the movie will be made one day. It's like, it's not the hero you thought you were going to get, but that's who ends up saving the day. I don't know. Who am I to know? The whole world is insane. Donald Trump was the president and things are nuts.
Who knows? But best of luck to you, Oli London, and don't listen to the haters. Let's go to Super Chats.
Let's do it.
Bad App said, so is Kim Kardashian a Disney villain or Disney princess now that Disney owns Hulu?
Maleficent.
Also, I rode Splash Mountain last night before it gets canceled. It's going to get canceled? I thought they were just reworking it so that it would be themed after...
Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, Princess and the Frog.
Yep. I don't know.
Are they going to get canceled? I don't know.
Probably.
Jared Little said, did you all already talk about Ye recently saying that he likes blank on Alex Jones' show?
It's that's evil World War II mustache man.
Yeah, mustache guy?
Mustache man from World War II.
We have not talked about that yet until now.
I mean, we can talk about it. Like I was like, I just.
I mean, there's not much to talk about. We might, if there are further developments, then maybe we will talk about it tomorrow.
One of the hardest parts of doing the show 5 days a week is like a lot of times we talk about something and then something very interesting happens, like literally as we're talking about it. So then you don't want to do the same thing 2 days in a row all the time because not everybody wants to hear the same thing.
Patience, guys.
2 days in a row, but yeah, it is what it is.
Brewmaster Monk said they want us to destabilize ourselves.
Yeah,
true.
That's seems to be a point that I always want to address. Is like, it feels like all of the changes are designed to make the world feel like you can't have stable footing on anything. Like nothing feels solid beneath your feet. Everything is up in the air. I watch a lot of old movies and TV shows, and just you take for granted that the family had a mom and a dad. And the boys like the girls and the girls like the boys. I'm not like, and that's not saying it. I have no, like, I am pro gay marriage. I am pro whatever, right? But
I'm not.
But the idea here is that the idea to go as far as they have is that they don't want anything to feel solid. They want it to feel like, well, yes, children can consent. Oh, yes, but adults should have their student loans forgiven because they're certainly not mature enough to be able to understand what it means to sign a document at 18 and then go to college. But kids, well, they know what gender they are at 6. Let them do it.
I'm not so sure I agree with that framing.
I'm just saying they don't want nothing feels solid because they make up the rules as they go along where it aligns with the power they seek to gain.
Yeah. I just think that like seeding 1 inch as you have allows them to take
I am
the circumference of the globe.
Maybe I don't have the best approach, but I am the one who wants you to be able to be gay, get married, own guns, and sell weed. I am fine with all of that.
Yikes. Guys, how do I make it every day with takes like these?
How does she do it? How dare he believe in personal liberty?
Liberty.
Did Luke just appear in here?
It all of a sudden feels very cold in this room. Bad App said Urban Outfitters has the best long tees. H&M is trash.
Well, here's the thing. I don't get them from either. What I do is I go to Amazon or to eBay and get what are called, you just look up long line t-shirts, curved hem. And the ones that they say made in America, it's literally, one brand is Canvas. And I'll look them up tomorrow. But there's a couple, and Shaka, Shaka, and they make very, very good fitting ones. The smaller, the divided ones, like from H&M, that's what the canvas ones are more like that. They're better material.
I love this. The Brett Dasvik shopping guide.
Yes, they're better material
for all your Christmas needs.
They're softer. The Shaka ones are less plush like that, but they also they don't shrink as easily. Also, don't ever use a dryer if you buy shirts like that. Always air dry.
Okay. Tag Deep Laddie said Summer Glau played a Terminator in the show.
Yep, in Sarah Connor Chronicles. I love Summer Glau. She's fantastic. I'm gonna go watch Firefly as soon as I'm done with this.
Araftas of Stet said, Brett, the thing about call signs is you don't get to choose yours. So you'd be Ghost Girl and Blondie. You okay with Blondie, Brett?
I guess it's fine if it's ironic.
That will follow you forever. Even though the blonde hair is gone now.
And I did it for you guys.
We'll never forget.
Yes, and it is gone now.
Bobcat said, movie recommendation that Hannah Claire won't be angry at me for. The holiday rom-com Love Actually is very based.
Oh my God. We're just going to go. We're not even going to cover it as a topic. Speaking of Love Actually, the director of Love Actually, I'm just going to do this right now. The director of Love Actually, Richard Curtis, he's apologized for making a movie that just wasn't very diverse. So the movie may be based, but the director is not very based, ladies and gentlemen. It says Love Actually director Richard Curtis has admitted that he feels stupid for not making his film more diverse. With Christmas just around the corner, the 2003 rom-com is set to be on repeat for the entire festive season. Is that to drown out the Mariah Carey of it all? Like you put the movie on.
She's finished defrosting. She's fully here.
So it says the flick centers around 8 couples who are loosely intertwined with one another, and nearly all of them are Caucasian. Well, that is a problem in today's society. Here's the thing, guys. Look. It was a time where the casting process wasn't considered so vital, where the majority of the country was Caucasian, and marketers designed it as such. That doesn't make him a bad person. That doesn't make the people who cast diversely not for ideological reasons bad people either. It just means that don't apologize. Don't be a dork. Don't be a low testosterone beta like James Cameron. Don't apologize. You made your movie. People loved that movie. There was no reason for him to apologize. That's all I'm saying. So they go
sorry,
into,
Bobcat. Yeah. Now you have to be reminded of that every time you watch Love Actually.
All right, back to the super chats.
Mark Reyes said, "I like Chet Formation, but I like the house references better." Brett, keep hitting us with the house references.
I go through my phases where I watch. I'll have to brush up. I'm back through. I watch a couple episodes once every couple of weeks. It's one of those shows where I can watch a couple episodes here and there and then just come back to. I'm back up through season 3, where right now we just got through the Detective Tritter storyline where he gets he puts a probe in like a detective's rear end per se.
Oh gosh.
Because the guy's rude to him, and then he ends up having to go to trial because he just won't admit that he's wrong, and this guy just keeps bullying him, and it's really, really interesting. There's an episode about
sounds like an episode of Cast Castle.
Yeah. Season 3 is one of my personal favorites. I think it might be the best of the story. In season 4 is when they introduced all the new characters like 13, Taub, and Kuttner. So I think those first 3 seasons are some of the best television. But I will apply those references as needed as we go.
Big Dave sent us 99 cents without a message.
The strong silent type.
Thank you, Big Dave. And Bad App said, "Do you nerds ever guest on anyone's pod that we can watch, or do you not have any friends?" That was mean.
That hurt my feelings just a little bit. Well, you know what?
Well, why don't you go ask other pods to go invite us? We're not going to invite ourselves on.
That's just weird, right? Like, hi, can I come on your podcast?
Hi, I work at Timcast Media.
Would you like me to come on your show with you, please? Like, no. All right, guys, we are moving on.
Anyways,
we are moving on. So, Rebel Wilson can't win. The poor lady, she loses 80 pounds. She looks really good now. I was going to say smoking, but hopefully she doesn't smoke. So Rebel Wilson has started a new clothing line called R&R. It's called R&R Club. It's a loungewear line. And of course, when you release a clothing line like this, you test out a few items, you test out a few colors. They did a limited item run, like limited colors, limited sizes. And you know what? When you are a formerly fat actress that made a career off making fun of yourself for being fat, you are unfortunately going to attract the worst of the worst as far as Twitter and Hollywood sycophants go, because when you lose weight, you are a bad person to them. It's kind of like plastic surgery. When you, if you detransition, it's bad because you're no longer representing the marginalized group anymore.
Well, what they're essentially saying is like, there's nothing wrong with you anymore.
Yes. So
you can't represent us anymore. So she put out this clothing line in sizes extra small through extra large, which apparently is not inclusive enough. People were giving her crap for it on her Instagram. So she responded on her story saying, "We are experimenting with this limited capsule collection of only 2 pieces in limited sizes." And they almost sold out because those are the most inclusive sizes. Actually, they represent most of the population size.
And so that's like literally just demographics.
Yeah.
They look at like maybe in America you could sell a lot more extra
Like,
larges.
sorry we didn't waste money by making a bunch in 4XL.
Yeah, like
But they're sweatpants. Like, get over yourself.
Burlington Coat Factory's there. Go to Burlington Coat Factory. I love Burlington Coat Factory.
So she got this tweet saying, former fat people love nothing more than to pretend like fat people don't exist after they lose weight.
Why is Twitter
The
so
snark
awful?
is turned up.
Why is Twitter so awful? Why? What is it about that platform that just attracts the absolute worst? It brings out the worst in people.
Well, it's just like, if you're not snarky or if you're not funny, then no attention is paid to your posts.
Well, they're not funny or snarky. They're snarky. They're not funny.
Yeah, but it's like the two polar opposites are the things that get attention on Twitter, and you have to fit into one of those boxes. Another one said, a huge epidemic of fat girls who lost weight, and now they buy into the same fat phobia that made them hate themselves when they were fat. So now they want to distance themselves from fatness because society still hates women who lose weight for ever having been fat.
That's not
even true. And also, they're imposing this feeling that this self-hatred that they don't even know Rebel Wilson felt. Maybe she just wanted to be healthy.
No, she did it because the doctor said if you don't lose weight, you won't be able to have kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're imposing this self-hatred onto her that she never even admitted to having.
I want to go through this one again. Okay, first of all, I am sick to death of the term phobic not being accurately used. You can have, like, it is no longer true. Whenever you're not going up to anyone anymore, and there's nobody like, ew, fat people. Actually, there might be skinny like models that they ew fat people, but like
in their heads, they don't say it out loud.
But they're not actually genuinely scared of them. They just don't like them. That's a different type of bigotry.
Right.
Okay, you're not phobic of it if you just have a rational argument to the contrary. Hello, ma'am. If you lose some weight, oh, hello, ma'am or sir. It would be better for you if you lost some weight. It would be better for your heart, your joints, your health. You'll be able to live longer for your kids. You will genuinely have a higher quality of living. That is not bigotry. It is not a phobia. It is not an irrational fear of something.
I'm shocked that Rebel Wilson has gotten more backlash for just existing while not being overweight than someone like Tess Munster has ever gotten for claiming to be anorexic at like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Or more. I don't even know. Like, just sheerly spreading information is considered okay as long as you are on their side.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to go back to the first one. I'm going to be this guy. Former fat people love nothing more than to pretend like fat people don't exist after they lose weight. Can you tell me one example of that being true?
It's such a
I'm source broing you.
It's such a late capitalist mindset to think that someone is denying that you exist by not selling you a product.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was like the first thing I wrote down was like, imagine a world where like not only does somebody have to make something for you, they have to do it right away and perfectly. Like, she's launching a business. She will likely make more down the line. It's kind of like Candace Cameron Bure talking about how, look, we might make more movies with more themes later. Maybe, sure. Let's do this first and see how it works. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, they don't owe you anything. Just because Disney has 100 years of infrastructure to make all the weird stuff you want to watch does not mean that everyone has the ability to do that. And it certainly doesn't not make them bad people. That's absolutely bonkers.
Oh gosh, like I've seen all of these tweets.
Oh,
and someone said, Miss Rebel Wilson coming out with a $300 set that only goes to size extra large. It is kind of ridiculous that she set the price that high, but also like they're almost sold out. So can you blame her?
Well, and like, I don't know what the materials are. If it's not couture because it's still fast fashion, right? Would it still be considered fast fashion because it's not?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how they were made.
Yeah.
Someone said it's not cost effective to make bigger sizes. The more material used, the more the garment costs to make, and there's less of a market for extra large.
Sell in America. We have plenty of fat people here. That's fine. We love fat people here. By the way, guys, that was the number one thing that I noticed when I was overseas was how they were like shocked that I wasn't fat. They were like
Yeah.
I was in Spain and they were
Which
like,
is kind of xenophobic.
Yeah. They're like, yeah. Like, wow, you're not like, you're short and you're not fat. That's amazing. And I was like, thank you.
Wait, did they expect you to be tall because you're American?
They just pointed it out. I don't know if that's what they expected, but they definitely expected me to be fat. Like these are people that knew that I skated, had seen videos of me skating, and somehow like thought, what, the camera took away 20 pounds rather than adding
You're
10?
Strategically editing them to not show that you're actually 400 pounds.
Yeah. That is a stereotype of America.
Right? I can't forget. Whoa. Someone replied, she's forgetting her roots. Wow.
Your roots?
Like as if being fat is some kind of cultural heritage.
Well, I mean,
and then someone replied, no, she just conveniently used fatness as a punchline to start her career and dropped it once she was over it. The old Chris Pratt.
They don't believe in actually getting better for the sake of getting better. They put negative connotation on absolutely everything. Imagine, like, you have to live your life digitally to imagine that life is that linear and planned.
Pick a side. Was she unfairly mocking fat people throughout her career, or was she your hero as a plus size woman?
And why is it? Then it's a matter of perspective. Sure, you loved her when she was fat because she validated who you were, but shouldn't you also valorize her for losing weight because it shows you what you could be? No, because you don't actually want to aspire to more, because that's too much work, and that shines a light back on you and your inability to make changes. And I want to make this clear. I'm not saying that making those changes is easy or something that should be taken lightly. I understand that making drastic life changes is a very, very, very difficult thing to do. I've had to do it. There are still many things in my life I would love to be able to do vastly better. But the problem is you can't just wallow in what you are if there are things that need to change and expect everyone else to do the same because it validates you. Mm-hmm. That's not how the world works.
A lot of the responses to this situation are, wow, watching Rebel Wilson on screen used to make me feel positively, and now I feel negatively. And it's really missing the point that that they seem to think they're making, actually, which is that no one is responsible for how you felt in response to their appearance. It was not like her being overweight is and that making you feel some type of way about her is not her responsibility. Whether you hated her for it or loved her for it, it's not her problem.
Adele said the same thing. She's like, look, I can't control how people, like, that's got to be one of the hardest parts about being a celebrity, right? Like, you can't control how you make people feel. You can create your art, you can make the movies, you can try to, in this case, in Rebel Wilson's case, you can try to make people laugh. In Adele's case, you can try to make them emotional through music, but you are not, in the end, in control of how people take that. It's why we talk a lot about how these artists, these guys making movies today, they want to both make the art and tell you how you have to feel about the art. But unfortunately, that's not how the real world works. But when a lot of how you make other people feel is tied to your actual identity, in this case, being overweight when you were younger, that's a problem, because you can't, these people are going to backlash because they've developed such an identity crisis around something that is inherently unhealthy.
They're wearing the blinders, and if they're calling this embarrassing for Rebel Wilson, I say in response, like, this is embarrassing for you who is crying in a comment section because you can't find clothes that fit you. Please focus on yourself and your own self-improvement instead of impugning someone else for improving their life.
It's also funny because she gets it from both sides now, because first of all, they got mad. People got mad because they thought she was, remember when she came out and she was like, they forced me to come out because the reporter threatened to leak her. So that happened. She got pushed back on that. Then this stuff happened. She got pushed back on that. Adele, she loses weight. She can't win. Like, I feel bad for them. We are in a culture now that is determinedly anti-self-improvement, anti-positive change.
Which is why, like, even though you can say Jordan Peterson's takes are so boilerplate, he just, like, tells men that they should take a shower and make their bed. It's like,
that's hard.
A lot of people are telling you that you should never try to improve yourself at all. So, of course, someone needs to fill the gap in the market for, like, someone providing the opposite.
What is lazier than having a society that literally makes all of the best thought leaders, people that tell you that you don't have to do anything. It's like a double whammy. Like, not only do I get to make money and be seen as positive, I get to do it by telling you that you don't have to do anything because I think so little of you and of society as a whole that I don't think that you or anyone else are capable of greater things, are not capable of anything more than what you are right now. Either are you overweight? Are you what was something else that they seem to think that is okay that usually sometimes isn't? That seems to be the most genuinely unhealthy one.
I mean, it's difficult because there are a lot of things viewed as pathological, and it's difficult because they've toppled it over on its head where they've reversed the morality. Like, everything good is bad, everything bad is good, up is down, left is right, east is west. Like, it is like you said, everything made to feel ephemeral and unstable. And I always say this, and I'll say it again. The only way to combat this is just like middle fingers up and not caring. Yeah.
Well, and that's hard because like when it was easier for me when I didn't do this for work. It was easier when you when I would go through phases, right, where I would take in a lot of media that talked about this stuff. I cared a lot about the culture. I cared a lot about politics. But when I wasn't doing it for work, I could tune out if I needed to, if I felt myself getting overwhelmed. A lot of people don't even have that ability, right? Like, I have friends that care so much about it that even to their own detriment. Like, I definitely have friends that use Twitter, and there's times when they should not be on. Like, it affects them. They get really down. They get really kind of morbid about society. And I'm like, there are times like that. You got to pull back. You have to give yourself a little bit of perspective because society isn't going to give it to you. And that's very, very difficult. But when society, like we said, isn't going to give you a healthy picture of the world, you have to create that healthy picture of the world for yourself. But when there's nobody telling you to do that, you've got like the people, the closest thing you'll get now on Instagram is like gym bros telling you to go to the gym. Like, it's all the memes about like women. Oh my God, you're beautiful just the way you are. It doesn't matter how you look. Guys are like, got to get bigger, got to get more swole, got to get in better shape because
I think there should be a happy medium between the two.
It is what it is. But I hope that we can find a middle ground. But I don't know if I can't look at I don't know enough about history as far as like cultural trends to be able to say that we can come back from this. Like, it only seems to flow in one direction, right? Like, in 20 years, are we back to an unhealthy medium the other way where only heroin chic is in? Like,
well, that's what they're saying is back in.
It's back.
We've covered that before. They're saying heroin chic is back, but then it caused a huge panic in the media.
Well, it is what it is, man. I want people to be able to strive for self-improvement, watch the media they want to watch, take away from that media what they want to take away from it, but not think that says everything that it says about them, and certainly not use it as a guidebook for how to live their lives, because nobody should be doing that.
Right.
So, and before we go, we'll read the rest of the Super Chats. I do want to talk quickly about why network television and examples like this are exactly why why the wokest of Hollywood comes out in television on network TV. So, well, actually in this case it would be on Paramount Plus, but it started on network TV. So Aisha Tyler, you might know her from Archer. She plays Lana in Archer. She was Dr. Tara Lewis on Criminal Minds, and now on Criminal Minds Evolution. Well, in Criminal Minds, she's a doctor. She's married to a doctor. After a divorce, she gets engaged to another doctor, all men. Well, now the show went off air in 2020. And mysteriously, in 2022, the show comes back and she is a pansexual. Yeah. Make it make sense.
This is something she said in an interview, so it's not something they actually scripted into the show, but...
Well, she's with a woman. So now she's, despite no evidence to the contrary in previous seasons that she was ever interested in women, she is now interested in women. Here's the problem. There is no problem with that, for me, with that character being interested in women. There has to be some part of the storyline throughout the show that indicates that that's what it was. Otherwise, it's just lazy virtue signaling taking over for storytelling. You're not storytelling. You're just virtue signaling.
The issue is they scripted her to be dating a woman because it's 2022.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
So what Aisha Tyler said about this in an interview is, I think she's pansexual. I think that's really perceptive. They said, but... Okay, what did she say? I don't want to speak for pansexual people, but I think so much about pansexuality. It's just about falling in love with the person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
Yeah. So, look.
It's just like such a superficial, surface level, cheap trick.
Yes. And this is the problem with these shows that go for 20 zillion seasons,
and
right?
This doesn't even resonate with like the people that she represents on screen, which is a middle-aged divorcee. I'm sorry, no middle-aged woman these days knows what the word pansexual is or means.
They've watched The View.
Nor
yes,
identifies as such.
They watch The View. Yes, they do.
If they watch The View, then maybe they know.
So it's like you sacrifice all of this storytelling because they take characters that have strict personalities that have like we talked about, a concrete world built around them. They acted like this. They behaved like this.
Yeah.
This was their preferences. This is how they spoke. Is she going to come back and speak in a completely different dialect?
Now it's
No!
like the character that meant something to you, now we're taking it away and desecrating it.
Because of...
for fun.
Cultural conquering.
Yeah.
They want to conquer all that you love.
This reminds me of a Twitter gag account that is called Your Fave is LGBTQ. They take a screen cap of any TV or movie character, and then the second image is some obscure Tumblr LGBT flag.
Yeah.
And it's like... Penelope Garcia from Criminal Minds is pansexual, and people retweet and like, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love it."
Actually, the thing is,
Spencer Reed from Criminal Minds is non-binary and pansexual. Like, they just post him, like a screen cap of him with the flags that represent non-binary and pansexuality, and then people retweet because it's like, oh, I get to pretend that I'm getting represented. And
if anybody in the show,
it's like jiggling keys in front of their face.
Penelope Garcia would have made sense as like somebody who, but it wouldn't have made sense because she wore her identity on her sleeve. She was always like this colorful, quirky person. So she would have been like that.
But why does that have to equal being of a certain sexual orientation?
Because
like,
they
that's
don't know
just called having a personality.
They don't know subtlety though.
Right.
They do not know subtlety. So I'm just saying, like, if there was a way that they could have done it where it would have felt to me, however superficial, slightly like it made sense, it would have been her. But no, you have to subvert expectations. You have to make the button-down doctor do it because, progression.
I hate
progressivism. And it ruins things. I love those first 5 seasons of Criminal Minds are some of the best network television that you will ever see, however morbid they may be. There's some fantastic writing, especially in season 4, with really deep insights into a lot of these. If anything, like that was some of the earlier examples of like humanizing, a lot of humanization of serial killers, kind of like what they do with Dahmer, just albeit more shockingly.
Yeah.
There's fantastic television in there. No, to be fair, Aisha Tyler's character wasn't on the show yet. She didn't come in until like season 9 or something like that. But I'm just saying, everything you loved, whenever they announce a reboot or that something's coming back, I want you to tremble.
Just run.
Tremble with fear and absolute, it's not going to work.
You just rewatch the old version and ignore the fact that they ever updated it.
Pretend.
That's what I'm going to do for Avatar The Last Airbender.
Yeah. Like it's just, they will not do your characters justice. They will not treat their past or any of their story with respect. They will treat it as a launching point and as a soapbox for whatever weird 2022 social ideology is current. In 5 years, whatever that is, that will be what ruins the shows of today. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is, but this is just another example of why network TV is particularly awful when it comes to wokeness. So we got some super chats.
Yes.
Let's do this. If you guys have anything, send that in.
Bad App said, someone ran their car into a fireworks store by my house and set all the fireworks off. It was the most American way to expire us.
I love it. I kind of love it.
That's kind of epic.
I kind of love it. It's
amazing. Very Cocaine Bear vibes,
dude. Okay, not just that. Then I sent Hannah Claire a story of like a was it like a Chihuahua on weed or something? Like there's more now. There's like
There's
weed.
a lot.
There's more.
Someone sent me a story about a meth lab and a raccoon barbecue.
Yes, like
there's a lot of stories of drugged out animals that are saying like they could become a cinematic universe.
Dude,
it could
drugged
be a
animal,
thing.
like drugged out of their mind animal cinematic universe. I'm here for it. Like I'm saying, like not Alyssa Milano, Elizabeth Banks ruining everything with Charlie's Angels, coming back and making something as ridiculous.
She's paying reparations by putting out Cocaine Bear. Really,
it could be awful, but it looks awesome.
No, it's gonna be great.
Gonna be
I know
awesome.
it. We're gonna watch it and review it.
Oh, and we're going to see Violent Night.
Yes, we're gonna see Violent Night tonight as well. Bad App said, when you order garments, most garments only go up to XL. I'm the real humble t-shirt salesman. I dropped new tube tops and they only go to XL. I mean, honestly, if you're in the range of like XL, I don't think you should be wearing a tube top, but that's none of my business.
But couldn't that be like they're just tall? Like,
not ordinarily.
That's
ordinarily like just if.
Do people wear a lot of tube tops?
You're
these
like
days?
wider.
Are tube tops like a big thing?
They came back in like 2018, kind of.
Halter tops.
Halter tops
never go out of style.
Those are good. Coyote Ugly vibes.
Dude, okay. And everybody should go watch Coyote Ugly. That is an animal that does not get drugged. It's just a bar of hot women dancing on
Still
tables.
never understood the name of the bar and it
she
being
explained
relevant. I mean, she explained it, but I was like, okay.
If you
Like-
you take home a woman and she's disgusting when you wake up the next morning because you got beer goggles on and she's so ugly that you would rather chew your arm off than risk waking her up by taking your arm out.
That's
Coyote Ugly. See?
I was like, all right.
Another fun example of art, of learning to love the art but not the artist, that has Maria Bello in that role, and she is bonkers on Twitter and in general. She is a social justice nut most of the time, so it's fantastic.
Sketch Therapy said, "Fat is beautiful." Message sponsored by Lipitor. What is that?
I think Lipitor is an antidepressant.
Oh,
I think.
we'll look into that.
Also, somebody's Serge X in the chat said, "Don't judge my skinny jeans." I got a message the other day where somebody asked, they asked why I wore yoga pants skating. They said they're just black sweatpants. I was like, bro,
yoga pants.
Like, imagine
like the ones that are flared at the bottom.
I'm thinking of like women wear yoga pants, but because I wear skinny pants, like they think that my sweatpants are yoga pants, but it's a vibe.
Call Me Snow Possum said, greatest Brett quote. I also do this thing where I'm not a bitch.
I do?
Episode 189. You're going into the archives.
I said that?
You said that, I
said
guess.
that? I do this thing where I'm not a bitch. All right, well, cool.
Bobcat said, it's not that fat people don't aspire to be more, it's that they don't aspire to be less. Well, as Patrick Bateman said, you can always be thinner, look better.
But also do you think that's a problem in society right now? That people maybe it's kind of like the demoralization, like nobody can afford. I'm never going to own a house. Why would I have kids if I can't own a house? Why would I get thinner if I can't have kids and own a house?
No, I don't think people think that far
People
ahead
have just
about it.
given up. People are like, I don't care. I can't own a house. My parents own a house and they paid like $80,000 for it.
In my mind, letting yourself go physically like that is kind of dropping all pretense of civility.
Lipitor is for cholesterol.
Oh, got it.
That makes more sense.
Okay. Not Alan Rogers said, are fat roots those blue lines thick girls have? I don't get it.
We shouldn't be judgmental. I'm not judgmental of anyone unless they're taking the catty approach that they took to Rebel Wilson. Like the cope, like all that was
It
just
is catty.
All of that was just catty grade A copium. Like it's all just them being like, oh my God, she put in the effort. She did the work that it took to lose the weight. It shines a light back on me. And also when you plant your flag early and say, I like this celebrity because they look like me, and then they change, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're tying yourself to a trait that's something that they can change. It's one thing to be like, I like this actor because of their race. That's freaking weird. But there are people that do that, it seems like these days. That like in Hollywood, there is a lot of people that they like an actor because they're black. They like an actor because they're this or that. They can't change that. Mm-hmm. But a person can get thinner.
Yeah.
But I guess Oli, what's his name?
Oli
says
London can change
his race. So what do I know?
Marco said,
Oh, they're saying that the article is that people said that she forgot her fat roots. So are the roots?
she forgot her roots.
And he's in the super chat said they're fat. Is the fat roots the blue lines?
What does that mean?
But he's making a joke about the how fat women look, and then but he's talking about fat roots.
What's blue lines?
On fat women, I'm guessing stretch marks. I don't know.
Oh, stretch marks?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Marco said, what is a priest's favorite candy bar?
What is it?
Amen. Joy? I don't get it.
No comment.
I don't understand. The last of my kind said the word Brett is fit supremacist.
Is that true? I did not mean that. I did not.
What?
I am not trying to be a fit supremacist. I'm not like I'm not, and I'm like I don't. I skate a lot, but it's not like I work out extensively. But I'm just saying.
I don't think everyone needs to be some kind of Adonis. It's just like don't hate on other people for wanting to improve themselves.
It's a weird culture we live in, dude. I don't know if we can. Can you think of an example of the real world of this happening? Like this only happens on the internet. Nobody in the real world says, "Why would you lose weight?"
Well, in the real world, it's girl groups, like friends who tell each other, like, "You look perfect. You look so sexy." Like they praise them in public, but their private thoughts are that they get to be superior to their friend who looks worse than them.
It's the meme about like women to each other. Oh, like women lie to each other by saying, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're like the most beautiful girl ever." Guys lie to each other by saying like, "Dude, am I fat? Dude, I know 5 fat people and you're 4 of them." Like guys lie to each other with insults. Women lie to each other with compliments.
Yeah. Unredacted said, OCC and Tomcats inspired me to make my own channel. PCC and Timcast inspired me to I don't know.
To make his own channel. He means to make his own channel. Dude, that's
sorry.
awesome. What are you going to talk about, dude? Is unredacted mean like,
unredacted.
Are we talking like government secrets? Are we talking like, are you digging up information? Conspiracy theories? Or maybe Balenciaga is got some memo somewhere that says we want creepy stuff in our ads, and somebody like finds that document. Like, that's cool, man. I hope the podcast goes well.
Yeah. High Voltage 75 said, Cokie the Bear says only you can prevent overdoses. There
was also a really funny one of the Coca-Cola bear grabbing a bottle of Coke. It says, when the other Coke bear realizes there's a new Coke bear movie. Have you ever seen the Coca-Cola bear? Coca-Cola polar bear? It says when the other Coke bear realizes that there's a cocaine bear movie coming out.
Then they'll have a face-off.
Dude, I had the little Coca-Cola plushie.
Oh, that's
with
cute.
My mom got them, and I found them like right before I moved out, and I gave them to my dad, and like he gave them to my nephews, and they're like, they just don't, different time.
Yeah,
like,
it's not really a cultural.
No, it was at the time.
Yeah. Bad App said you could be a skinny mini with XL Tigbits.
There you go.
Doubt it. Matt said bring on the. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Finocchio?
Finocchio bros? I don't know what that means. And DC said varicose veins are the blue lines I was asking about. Okay. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. I thought that was like something that happens when you're old.
In your legs, right?
I guess, yeah.
Is that like the sign of thrombosis or whatever?
I don't know.
All right, guys. Someone says, I love the chat. I can't always watch the chat.
What are they talking about that has nothing to do with what we are talking about as per usual?
Raven Thor says, everyone on PCC should get real swole or real fat. Either would work. They're just, I love it. They just have their own conversations. That's why things are, and then now Johnny Derp is making sexual references to the term thrombosis.
Bruh.
Shimmy Shelley says, yes, poor circulation. So I was right about that.
Okay.
Isn't that what like the people get it on airplanes, right? They get, that's how they get clots in their legs on airplanes because of poor circulation from like sitting with your, sitting still for too long.
I don't know. I'm not an expert.
She's like, I'm 22. I don't get clotted veins yet. And I go on airplanes for long
I
periods
hope
of
you
time.
don't either.
Yeah. No, I do not. So, though it is funny because, like, since having the operation recently and then one of the people at work here is like, Brett, you're looking thinner. I'm like, I'm definitely not thinner. Like I'm the same weight I was before. Like if I could do anything better, and this is one thing I will say, I have things I would like to improve on myself. I could absolutely have a better diet. Like I could eat way healthier than I do. It's one of the things that I would like to work on. I have started kind of getting into like upper body workouts. Like I didn't bring my bench press or any of that stuff when I moved here. Like we have like weights here, but I don't use them down in like in that room. I would prefer to do that like on my own. Mm-hmm. Like I should be doing that stuff, but it's not wrong or bad to want to improve yourself. It's good to want to improve yourself.
That should be celebrated.
And then yes, Shimmy Shelley says Brett loves bread too much. That is true. I eat way too much bread. Way too many carbs is definitely why I will never be skinny. I don't even eat like a lot of like candy or chocolate or anything like that. Just stupid carbs, less bread. So, is there anything like that you eat that you feel like you shouldn't be eating, but you do?
Literally no.
Mary's like, I apologize for nothing.
No, of course not. Probably boba. I don't know.
Z Fister. I love the name. Everyone keep commenting 20 super chats and Brett drops a skate video in yoga pants. He must skate because he also says street spots only. And if they say street spots only, they definitely skate because they understand what that means. Meaning not at skate parks, out doing stuff on handrails and ledges. Somebody says I eat too many Twinkies. I don't eat Twinkies. I don't eat any of like the, what do you call them? Like the Little Debbies or anything like that. So. All right, guys. Thank everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us today. This has been a ton of fun. We like these 2-person shows are always kind of a trip because it's just me and you, and we spend all day up here working, getting ready, and then we have our conversation, and it's always so much fun because everybody gets to come along and either roast us, agree with us, disagree with us, or talk about something completely separate from us altogether.
Yeah, I applaud the chat for being able to start their own arguments.
All right, guys. Mary, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yes, you can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and if you want to read my inane thoughts, you can follow me on Twitter, which is also at Mary Archived. That app, I am not reading that.
Go figure that she wasn't going to read that one, guys.
What did you expect?
I figured it's what's going to happen. Guys, again, as I want to remind everyone more often these days, one more from Big Dave, 99 cents, no message because Big Dave is the strong silent type. I love Big Dave. He's a great guy. For the show, like the videos, leave comments on the videos, subscribe to the channel, especially like these live videos. We really appreciate that. It really does help the channel grow in the algorithm. I've been taking a closer look at analytics and trying to look at how often we reach people that aren't subscribed, how often we reach people that are subscribed. It's all very interesting. Tim and everyone here, like they know so much more about that. But like I said, like those videos, leave comments on the videos, subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic for the show. We are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific, where we talk about all things weird, pop culture, and entertainment and stuff like that. We're also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you'd like to listen rather than watch. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow on Friday. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Later.